American Truck Simulator. I'm David Steele, and here's me truck today. Today we are in Arkansas, and I realized I've barely explored Arkansas. I've got something like 60% of the map explored, and every other state I'm in at least the mid to high 90s. Actually, California is an exception. They did a lot of work to California and I haven't explored it. That's by the by. This is an excuse to do a couple of things. One is to play around with the Edison L750 truck, I believe. And two, play around with putting together my own electric motor. Or at least my electric hybrid motor package. In an attempt to get fairly close to the Edison setup. Now, I know that the Edison setup does come with an engine, and there's nothing wrong with that package that I've seen so far. But I wanted to add the electric engine sounds from ETS2, and whilst I'm there I thought, let's play around with the engine definition. But we'll talk a bit about the Edison. I am by no means an expert in electric vehicles. I don't own one, I don't run one. The ones I've driven have been, well, a little different, opposite ends of the spectrum. There are a few things about them that I really enjoy. Instantaneous torque, especially off the line torque, is addictive. That's what gets you going, that's what gets you moving. And electric motors have lots of it, in many cases effectively from idle. And second thing I like about them is that they're quiet. Now the L series truck is kind of the same. It's a torque, straight off the line, and it's quiet. Let's jump into the cabin. Let's go ahead and fire it up. Yep, it's running. Can you tell? I think my windows are open, so let's go ahead and close those. She's very quiet. I mean, we might hear a coolant pump, and you will hear a bit of a whine from the electric motors, but there's really not that much sound. And check out this interior. You sit in the center, and watched an interview or watched a video from the Edison chaps, and they said, well, it was a bit of a poke at Tesla, because Tesla did the whole Apple thing where this has never ever been done before. We put a driver in the center. For line haul, it may not be great, but for vocational duties, for logging, it makes a lot of sense, and here's why. I have got fantastic visibility of where the edges of the truck are. Better than a conventional cabin. There's a passenger seat next to me, even since there's a driver's seat. I'm in the driver's seat on one side. I have a door on both sides, unlike the Tesla. If I roll this thing, I can get out one of the doors. So yeah, it's just interesting. Now I am struggling to adapt to some of the parts of the truck. There's a built-in navigation system. You see it at the top right there. Don't think it shows the speed. It'll be fine. We're using the 2-speed automatic transmission or 2-speed transmission that comes with the truck, but my own engine, and that is rated at 800 kilowatt. Roughly what Edison have talked about in terms of what their engine produces, or their motors. I think Topsy, which is the prototype, used e-axles, I think. By the way, we've got ourselves a fairly chunky load today. What is it, 119? Yeah, 119,000 pounds. And we're off to Dallas Fort Worth Airport. So it's about 6 hours drive away. We're going to have to take a night stop somewhere. But let's just go ahead and let's just get on the road. I think I connected the trailer. Pretty sure I did. Yep, okay. Jump back in the cabin. It's eerily quiet. We'll go ahead and we'll get moving. Let's see, I'll raise my ride height. So, you may hear lots of controllery type noises because we're on a rough road. But yeah, the thing with electric vehicles is that they are quiet. And the other thing is, just listening to them drive the vehicle, there really doesn't have the same sort of, I want to say, mechanical effort that you get from driving something with a turbo diesel. In other words, when you pull off with a very heavy load, you feel the truck strain and stress as it goes through the gears, and off you go. With an electric, it's a little different. And something else as well. The founder said something very absolutely logical that I had never considered, which I should have done. And that was, hey, when I go to a logging site, I typically travel up the hill empty. And I travel down the hill loaded. And so I want to use regen down the hill to recoup as much of the energy as I've lost going up as I can. Well, a fantastic idea. I mean, duh, but makes complete sense. Let's pull off here. Right. There we go. Right, I think we're clear. Okay, very quiet. A little bit of road noise and wind noise, but yeah, we're very quiet. There goes the ride height. Putting me back to normal rider, but wow, we're doing 45. I have 119,000 pounds stuck on an enormous big trailer right behind me.
Go straight.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel all that involving. Open the windows just for that little bit of wind noise, I think. Gives me an idea. I gotta brake. I will close the windows just for the noise. It can get a bit distracting for me trying to narrate what's going on. Okay, bring it to a halt.
Turn right.
Just pop up. It says my battery's 45%, but I'm not entirely sure how live that is. It's a little hard to show. In fact, tell what, let me just stop here. Go back to here and zoom in on this display. Right, so, okay, we're regen mode or consumption mode. Okay, that's the engine brake I'm doing there. Estimated range, RPM, total, right. So it's implying that the Jenny is lit. And here's the thing: the engine you see under the hood of this it's a Caterpillar C9 in the prototype. As I understand, you can use any engine that you want. They don't really care. The engine is simply used. I can't see so well. Let's just hope for the best. Well, it's taking its time to get going. In first gear, there we go. Okay, took its time to get on the move. I wonder if using the wrong engine mode. I don't know. Anyway, so the engine you see under the hood. Let's see if I can show that off. With no hood covers, the old butterfly with the panels missing. In the prototype, that is a Caterpillar C9, but it's an industrial engine. It's plugged up to a generator, and the concept of how this works. Good grief! I'm going up a hill and I'm still accelerating. This is a steep ass hill. The idea in the concept is. It's not a new thing, it's just new heavy-duty trucks. And that is, your generator charges your battery pack, and or goes shunted direct to your e-axle or your electric motor. I don't know how exactly this is configured for this particular truck. And you have batteries, so it's a hybrid. You don't need massive batteries. But you have batteries. Brake. I feel like I need a retarder. So you have enormous power from the electric motor, enormous torque. Okay, I think we're clear. A little hard to see left and right there. I suppose you would lean forward. It's not really designed for line haul. It's not exactly an aerodynamic shape. Getting off topic. So your generator powers your battery, which powers your electric motor, and that can be specified to produce whatever power you need, and that would depend on, I guess, what your vocation is, what you need the power for. Now compare and contrast that with a conventional semi, and here you might have a 550 horsepower engine, so whatever that engine model is, that's the power, but that's its peak power. Now that might be its rated power. You can run it continuously at that speed for a long period of time, but when you're cruising, you don't need that much power. You may need, I'm just going to pick a number out of thin air, maybe you only need 300 horsepower to cruise at, let's say, 60 miles an hour. But to get the thing going with a load behind it up a hill, you might need all 550 horsepower. Well, it means that all of the time you're lugging around an engine, powertrain, that's rated for 550 horsepower, but most of the time you only need a lot less. It's quite an oversimplification of what they're trying to do here. Well, with the Edison truck, most of the time you maybe only need, let's just pull a number out of thin air, say 150 kilowatts worth of power. You have an engine that can deliver 800 kilowatts. And will I be using that today? Well, yes, because I'm testing it, but most of the time I only need 100 kilowatts. But you're taking that energy from the battery. You're not taking it directly from the generator, which means the battery can act as a reservoir of power. I mean, that's exactly what a battery is. But it's instantaneously available. It's a little sluggish pulling off the line, even at full power. Stop. But I don't know what my gross drivetrain, my gross vehicle weight is, but it's going to be pretty heavy. Anyway, so you draw energy from your battery to get yourself going, and then once you're up to speed, you then just rely on whatever less power you need from the battery. Your generator is not powerful enough to deliver 800 kilowatts, but it doesn't need to be. It can be rated much lower and therefore be much smaller and more efficient to top up the battery. Combine that with going up the hill empty, coming down the hill loaded, using regeneration braking on the way down to top up the battery. You have the recipe for something that under certain conditions could be remarkably efficient. In terms of miles per gallon, I mean, Edison said 20 miles per gallon equivalent, or rather 20 miles per gallon in full hybrid mode. Well, okay, and you might maybe get 5, 6, maybe 10 from a conventional truck under similar circumstances. What's not to like? Well, it feels a little weird to drive. I mean, the light goes to green. Oh, my driver's tired. The light goes to green and we punch the throttle and we slowly pick up speed. It's quite different when you're not laden. It's very different when you're not laden. This thing picks up speed like a good one. Gotta find somewhere to stop. Gear am I in? So I'm still in first gear, so 2-speed. Right, so let's use my cruise control. That's told me to get up to, I think, 50. Maybe not. That's done 50. That's 55. Okay. Still in first gear. Alright. Go ahead and pull left. I'm going to cancel cruise control. I don't need it right now. That map I haven't explored. I think I put myself in regen mode or engine brake mode. Doesn't appear to do very much. It does something, but service brake, brake.
Go straight.
Eerily quiet. Gonna go ahead and check the map for somewhere to stop. Okay, we're coming up to somewhere. That's good. Great. So yeah, the concept of my lights on. No. Now they are. Yeah, they are. Okay. Real reluctance to get off the line. It's hard to put that into perspective because it's an awful. But it does just pick up speed.
Keep left, and then turn left.
Wonderfully consistently once we're on the go.
Turn left.
Yeah, it looks interesting. Let's do this angle. It's very functional, and I like that. It's got quite a small set of tanks. I think they're 93 gallons. It's rated up. Turn in. clear the junction. Okay, almost. Yeah, it's a very functional design. Is it aerodynamic? No, I don't really think so. Does it need to be? Well, for vocational duties, it may not be. Good grief, there's no visibility over that hood. For vocational duties, for going up and down a mountain carrying logs, I don't think it necessarily needs to be. I can imagine that this powertrain in a different body could be made to be very fuel efficient. Packaging would be something, but you use e-axles. The electric motors are built into your axles, and so the amount of power that you have depends. You just vary the number of driven axles. So if you want half the power, you have a 6x2. If you want all the power, you have a 6x4. If you want to go extreme, you have a 8x6. Lots of choice. I think we're coming up. We have to get off the side of the road. Is it on the left? I think I can see up here. So let's go ahead and pull across to the left. I don't like to steer. So they've quite a long truck, and I think what they've done is they've tweaked some of the developers tweaked a few of the settings. I think this is where I want to be. Yes, I think so. Let's see, did we clear? So, right, well, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. I'm going to...
I'll find a new route.
Yes, Doug, I'm going to park up somewhere. What's my fuel at?
Impossible. Make a
Plenty of diesel. Park up. I will pause the recording, and I'll be right back in the morning.
Okay, let's find a new route.
Yes, Doug. I'll see everyone in a jiffy. Well, this wasn't in the plan, but okay. Good morning. It's early on Sunday morning, and we are setting off from an overnight stop, and it's raining. Go ahead and put these wipers on.
Get ready.
Yeah, so I remembered seeing that these three wipers were individually controllable, so you don't have to have all three on at once if you don't need it. And we're just going to leave these in auto, see if it takes care of it for me. But yeah, it's raining, and so that is not ideal, but it's okay. It'll worse things have happened at sea. Alright, so we're going to try this bad boy on interstate speeds. Because the road to Dallas-Fort Worth is, well, definitely interstatey. Turn in here, like so. Turn right up here. It's very weird, the whole picking up speed thing. It's just a little strange. You don't really get that perception of speed as you pick up speed. You don't really get that perception of change in speed, I should say, as you accelerate. Wow, I didn't get my words out properly. Okay. I forget it's also an incredibly long load. Now, hopefully, as I enter Texas, I'll be asked to pull into a way station, but the limit's gone up to 70. So I'm going to see if we can get up to 70 and how quickly we do, and so on and so forth, and any hill that we come to, how well we tackle those hills. Right now, we're up to 30. Okay. A little bit of vibration, so up to 40. Let's go ahead and trigger cruise, and 45. Actually, I forget that we're limited to 65 miles an hour because this is a World of Trucks journey, and so we won't be getting up to 70 unless we're going down a hill. As it happens, the limit's up to 65 here, and it's probably going to change. I don't know how well. Yeah, it is. It's 55. Don't know how well this thing handles in the rain, but I guess we're finding out. You can specify your Edison truck all-wheel drive, so you can have e-axles on the front. So if you need extra traction, then you can do that too. And of course, they sell it, or they will sell it as an 8x4 or a 6x4 or an 8x6. So for those heavy loads, where you need the extra traction or extra axles for weight limits behind you, it's an option. Okay, let's pile on the power. I'm not really hearing anything. Get my cruise back on, so I've tapped resume. Should take me up to, I think, 55. So I'll punch that up to 65, and let's just let it rip. Rip's not being necessarily the operative word, but quiet that is. I'm going to jump in the cabin. I'm not a little less confident driving the thing in third-person driverless view. So we're hearing the rain. We're hearing traffic going past me. We're just not hearing a Caterpillar engine under the hood. The real deal. It runs the generator when it needs to. So it doesn't run it continuously. And of course, the point that the engineers say is, well, here's the thing: a heavy-duty truck engine, you might get 1.2 million miles from it, or however many hours that will translate as. But that engine is expected to operate under a lot of variable conditions. So a lot of those miles are going to be cruising miles, but not all of them. And that means that there'll be times when the engine is running at less than optimal, and that is a little tougher on the engine. It might mean you've got higher engine wear, you're going to have lower emissions. Higher emissions, I should say. It will not conform to the right standards. Well, with the generator, you start the generator, it puts itself back up to its sweet spot in terms of whatever it wants to be. So, for instance, maybe the C9 wants to generate electric at 1800 revs even. Great. So you start the Jenny, or the Jenny is started for you, puts itself at 1800 revs, it generates electricity, tops up the battery pack, and then it goes to idle and then shuts down when it's not needed. You don't have the whole spooling the thing up, getting it up to the sweet spot, setting cruise control. It's a device. It's on off. It might have a turbo cooler, turbo timer, turbo cooler, but that's it. It's running hot. So one of the biggest, I guess we're going to hope that we're okay. One of the biggest issues with modern engines, as I understand, is that the emissions systems do not like running cool. They don't like it when you idle them for hours on end. Well, depending on how you use the truck, you might find that it struggles to get up to temperature. I was reading an opinion on one of the... Hey, good. We're going to get weighed. I was reading an opinion on one of the trucking forums, and of course opinions are someone's opinion. They may or may not be correct. I was saying one of the reasons why they personally would favour a smaller engine for line haul duties is because you work it that little bit harder.
Rerouting.
You keep the heat in the engine, and that's better for the emission systems, whereas your bigger, more relaxed engine is not going to run so warm. That's an interesting perspective to take. I can see how that maybe is flawed. Let's see how much we weigh. Come on. 177,000 pounds. All right. That's giving it a full load, and we are at least surging off the line. We're not changing gear. We're in one gear. And we'll use second gear at some point. Get those windows open. Right, let's cruise on. Resume. It's got me arriving at DFW at just after high noon. Here's Texas. Now maybe there's a law against trucking with electric vehicles in Texas. And if you're offended by the concept of using an electric vehicle to truck, then I'm sorry, but we're doing it.
Go straight.
Such a weird experience. So everything in this truck is electrically powered. Just about everything is electrically powered. Your air compressor, it actually has two. It has a separate air compressor. Let's get the parking brake on. A separate air compressor somewhere in the truck to run the brakes, but there's also an air compressor on the Caterpillar C9. So you have a dual air compressor setup. You have dual rear axles, each one of which has the e-axle setup. So if you develop a fault with one of those axles, the other axle can hopefully still get you home. You have dual battery packs, and if one battery pack fails or faults, you've got the other one that will hopefully get you home. Dual fuel tanks. Now, those tanks are for diesel. The battery pack is actually in the middle. Can't really see it from this angle. What if we come from the top? It's that brown box that can't see it so well. Again, you've got dual systems there, so if one faults, the other one can have a good stab at getting you home. And even if one of those wipers on the side fails, then you can swap it out for the one in the middle, I suppose. But yeah, there's a lot of components that you
Turn right.
got a lot of redundancy built in. I guess that's because the manufacturers are loggers from Canada. You don't want to be stuck in the middle of the Canadian wilderness in a broken down logging truck. I imagine that would not be a good day. Okay, let's pull it wide. Turn it in. Let's cancel that indicator. See if we can hear the engine when I power up. There's a bit of a whine there. Alright, that's full power up this hill. Let's see if it does it. That's a yes. I mean, okay. It's holding 50 now. It's dropped again. Alright. It's an unusual beast that can get up a hill like that, joining a highway and pick up speed. I know of one engine that could do it, and that's a racing spec 3406E, but you gotta be in the right gear. Never picking up speed. I'm going to take a swig of water whilst I get up to speed, but this is really effortless. So are we still in first gear? In second. We're in second gear, okay, fair enough. And look at that, we're almost going to touch 70. There we go, we've hit 70. That's not under power though, that's gravity keeping us accelerating down that hill. Get off the side, David. Right, well, we're just gonna tootle along, I think, quite happily like this. I think our speed's not going to stay rigidly at 65. It is dropping off a little bit, but I don't expect it to religiously hold 65. But if we're doing 62 to 65 and we weigh over 177,000 pounds, I think that is more than acceptable. So this isn't the ideal market for this kind of truck. I mean, we're not going to be using regenerative braking on a trip like this, not very much anyway. Most of it's going to be cruising. But if you get 1,000 kilometer, if you get a 600-mile range from 93 gallons, that's 15 miles per gallon. Again, very rough numbers. That's very good going. That is 3 times what you might get from a C15. And it's quicker too. Well, that would be an interesting comparison to make. What's this on the... It's on the windscreen, the sort of bottom left of the central windscreen. Let's take a look there. Let's see. Can we see what that is? Oh, it's just the sticker. Whoops. Stay in your lane, David. Okay. Right. Well, let's think about what I like about the truck so far. So, what I don't like. I think one of the things I noticed is the front visibility is kind of compromised by how big this frame is on the windscreen. So I've got this, what feels like quite a small viewing window to look at front, and 2 pretty big blind spots. The hood is enormous. In fact, the hood it's a chunky hood. And given there's a kind of a small engine under there, I think that one of the designers was like, yeah, I overspec the hood. That's fair enough. So I think a smaller hood would make it a little easier to maneuver in traffic, but it's not its target market, and so I can allow it for that. Does visibility out the sides make up for having somewhat compromised front visibility? I imagine for the vocational market, yes. Or the road market, maybe. I mean, if it was powerful enough, you go around a lot of corners, you'll be using this windscreen to see where you're going, right? You'll be power sliding it everywhere.
You're going to hit something.
Oh, yep, sorry, Doug. Don't have a problem with the range. Well, how far was today's trip? I did top up, so there's a disclaimer, but I think the range is proportionate with obviously how much fuel you burn, or how quickly you burn fuel and how big your tank is. But assuming it's 90 gallons at 15 miles per gallon, or 15 and a little bit of change, you're looking at maybe 1,000 miles brim to brim. Probably wouldn't want to do that. If I'm thinking of fuel in terms of I only want to fill up once a day, how many miles would I realistically cover in a day? As a trucker in the game, you can maybe do 700 miles, maybe, but you've got to be lucky to do that. So if my range is comfortably over 700 miles, I would say that your fuel capacity in your range is good enough.
Straight.
Yes, I know that trucks such as the Kenworth W900 give you a 300-gallon tank capacity, and maybe that's a 2-day range, but
Go straight.
you might find that useful if you're maybe going to and from California and you don't want to pay California prices for fuel. But other than that might be a thing with this truck. You know, if you had a 200-gallon tank, you could possibly go coast to coast and just fill up in the middle somewhere where it's cheaper. Maybe. You would need a not Euro 10, you'd need a US 2010 regulation engine if you're going to go to the West Coast. If you're going to go to California, of which the C9 may or may not be, it's an industrial generator, so I don't know quite how the regulations work there. It have to be vehicle emission standard or a Jenny standard. Interesting. I would imagine a vehicle standard because it is powering a moving vehicle. Alright, let's merge left.
Keep left and then turn left.
Okay. It is very deceptive how quickly this thing does pile up speed. And it's easy to forget that it seems awful sluggish, but then it's got such an enormous payload behind it. I'm not saying that this payload is as big as Oklahoma, because clearly it's not, but it's long and it's very heavy. And it doesn't really seem to care that much. Or rather, if I had 40,000 pounds and a reefer behind me, I think it would be killing tyres in short order. Something else, I suppose, if I'm picking faults with the truck, and again, it befits the nature of it, it's quite long. It's a day cab, but it's a long boy. Okay, let's get that full power.
Then exit left.
There's the slip road here.
Exit left.
Start to hear it now. Take a watch when it shifts, I think. Keep that down there. If I use cruise control to get me up to speed, it will automatically shift up as soon as it can. Oh, keep it pegged. There, so it's about 50 miles an hour. It shifts up into second gear. So that will, I suppose, reduce fuel consumption just a little bit. That must mean it's about 500 revs at 50 miles an hour, which is fair enough. Alright, well, other things to talk about today, very briefly. You may notice, and you may not, it depends on how good the YouTube compression algorithm is, but you may notice that my screen is not as sharp as it normally is. In fact, it's quite a bit less sharp, and there's lower detail, and there's vegetation missing, and so on and so forth.
Right. And then turn.
I decided I would dramatically change my settings. Oh, brake,
Turn right.
brake, to try and improve performance. And essentially, I spent what felt like a whole day looking at different options, tweaking a setting, checking how the game ran, checking some metrics going on what SCS's built-in software tools tell me. Trying again, trying a city, and reached the conclusion that I'm not likely to be able to get it perfect, but I've got it set up now.
Keep right. And then turn right.
Maintains a decent frame rate most of the time. And by decent, I mean it's close to 60.
Turn right.
So the payback is quite a bit less detail in some of the environment.
Keep left. And then
The
turn
shadows aren't as good. Oh, right.
Turn left.
I did manage to stop, but that was requiring a bit of braking effort there. Yeah, I can definitely see why I'd want to give this thing a bit more power. I suppose we just turned it down for this run and then realized that we maybe weren't planning on grossing 177. Oops. I suppose giving it a shorter first gear or a 3-speed transmission with a short ratio would help you get off the line. On the other hand, though, this thing has got peak torque until I think 300 revs, and so probably advantageous to have a taller gear. Okay, so full beans off the line. Very sluggish. I think a factor of gearing that makes a big difference here. Okay, I'm going to lift off. Pop those windows. So yeah, I went to green. So I dramatically changed down. It felt like I dramatically changed down a lot of the settings in the game. And yes, it is ugly for it. But it's also a whole lot smoother. Like, massively smoother. And, you know, I get it. My game is not as... my computer is not as young as it used to be, let's just say. It can't handle the high detail levels. Smoothly. Consistently. It might be bad to speed. What's the speed limit here? Oh,
Go straight.
we're good. It's probably 45. Off, so airport. Take this all. There's another sign in terms of there's an aircraft liner landing ahead of me, but you know, other than that, let's back on the power. I'm going to merge left here. That wasn't the most elegant way of merging left, but I did it anyway. I think it's left at the lights. I can see dead ahead.
Keep left, then turn left. Turn left.
Lucky with the lights. Okay, so all we have to do now is negotiate DFW security, which shouldn't be too difficult. It is. It's quite a narrow entranceway, but we're good. Let's do that. Come on. Thank you. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. I'm going to leave here. Let's see if we either grab a cargo or we'll just drive it bobtail for a bit. And I'll throw it around. I'll say throw it around. We'll just talk a little bit about how it performs without all that weight behind it. Snaggy on the brakes. Come on. And also talk about the fuel consumption that this trip recorded, but I haven't done any testing with what the consumption should be with this particular setup, so I don't actually know what it's going to be, but we'll see what we get. For something like this much power, I would probably be expecting 2 to 3 miles per gallon, so if I get 10, I'll be happy. Right, well, I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. Oh, first things first. 3.5 miles per gallon. So nowhere near as good as I hoped. But probably to be expected, given I wasn't really sure what I was doing with the definition. Secondly, there was no cargo I really felt like taking. Yeah, this thing is very responsive without anything on the back. You see, it doesn't even sound it, but look, that's full power. And off we go. Yeah, that's deceptive. Well, the speed is 75, okay. Let's get it up to 75 then. Might run out of road here, but I think we're good. Yeah, I'm at 75 already. Bazinga. And if you've driven a Tesla, that's just kind of how the Tesla feels. Point it in the direction that you want to go, you push the allow pedal, and you're there. So, not so much to really say in the sense that, do we talk about mid-speed or mid-range acceleration? Sure. Let's get it back down to 40 miles an hour. Get my cruise at 40. Let's annoy everyone now by just trunkering along at 40 miles an hour on the highway. That honk wasn't for me. So I'm now at 40, and let's punch it to 70. It's kind of Knight Rider, it's kit, all the way up to it goes to second gear, and then bang, we're right there, 70. So that's way quicker than anything else. It's way more performant than the 3406E, the racing spec machine. And if we were to keep it going, so let's do 90. It does run out of revs. It's going, and then it's going to run out of steam. So I'm going to pull over. Well, actually, it is still going. Jam on some anchors. Oh, cob. Okay, it probably doesn't get the whistling through the noise cancellation, but it's a cob there. Right. Well, that just about wraps up today's video. I like what Edison are trying to do with this truck. Like the fact that you buy off-the-shelf parts. I really enjoy the concept behind it. This wonderful, simple idea that makes complete sense. As for the truck itself, it reminds me of the F4 Phantom of £28,000. I did see in the interview that they reckon they could shave about £5,000 off it. But anyway, it reminds me of the F4 Phantom. What I mean by that is, I don't want to say it's ugly. Just as I wouldn't want to say that the F4 was ugly, but yeah, in isolation, if you asked an 8-year-old kid to draw a fighter jet, they would not be drawing a Phantom. They'd be drawing a Raptor. And that's even if they've never seen one before. This thing is your F4 Phantom. And yet, it's so wonderfully, elegantly functional. And you can fix it with a wrench and spare parts from your local auto factor. There's a lot to like about it. Well, hope that you enjoyed this video. And if you have, you know what to do. If you thought it sucked, you also know what to do. If you have an opinion about electric or hybrid diesel-electric semis, just let me know in the comments below. Might start a debate. But yeah, thanks so much. I'll maybe see you the next time. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.